Okay, here is the last part. I'm getting my camera focused here. Here's the last part of the first installment, Introduction to Sociology. We're talking about structural sociology, and we're looking at different ways we can look at how groups impact individuals, and we're looking at music to do that. Now, back to interactional sociology again, where the focus is on the individual. I would ask the question in class, is it fair to say that as an individual, you or other individuals would do things in a group that they wouldn't do otherwise if they were like by themselves? And I think it's fair to say, yeah, if you're out with a group, you're less inhibited. You feel like you can get away with more. You might feel like you could be anonymous because there are a lot of other people around. And I never really thought much about it until I talked to an ex-state trooper. He used to patrol Mountaineer football games in Morgantown. And if you've ever seen the end of a football game, especially in Morgantown, especially after a big win, sometimes some not nice things happen on the field. Bottles get thrown, things get destroyed, police officers get assaulted. And this trooper was telling me it was just incredible. People would throw bottles at them. They would, they would try to punch them. They would outright try to assault them. They would do things that they would never do if it was a one-on-one situation, because they feel safety in numbers. So, one of the classic studies in the social sciences, Morse and Jurgen did what I like to affectionately call the Mr. Clean, Mr. Dirty study. And the study was really about interactional and structural sociology. This study was looking at the effect of the group on the individual. And the way that we did, and we could look at this either structurally or interactionally. But here's how the study went. Graduate students, it was kind of like an episode of Punk'd where everybody's in on the gag except for you. The idea was that graduate students were told that they were applying for a job, and then once they were finished filling out the job application, they had to fill out a questionnaire, a survey. Now, two groups. In the first group, the graduate applicant came in, and he or she was in a group of people, maybe 20 people or so. They were all applying for the same position. In the first group, everybody applying for the position was very well dressed. We're going to say Mr. Clean, if you will. Very articulate, very well put together, looking sharp. So that's who you have to compare yourself to if you're applying to this job. Now, the graduate applicant is then given an attitude survey. Really, it's a self-esteem survey. They don't really know it at this point. And basically, they're rating them, their self-esteem. And what you found was that in the group where the graduate applicant was comparing him or herself to the perfect applicants all around him or her, they had lower self-esteem because they were comparing themselves to the perfect people. Conversely, in the second group, the graduate applicant came in with 20 people or so. They were all dirty. Their clothes were not well put together. They were not particularly articulate. So guess how they felt about themselves after they filled out their application. We call this the Mr. Dirty part of the study. Their self-esteem was rated considerably higher because they were comparing themselves to the people who were not quite up to par, if you will. So we have this innate tendency to compare ourselves against other people that we're around. So the effect of the group was very strong on each individual who took that self-esteem survey at the end. Solomon Asch was another pioneering social scientist, and he did some studies of conformity. If you conform, that means you just kind of go along with the group. And I'll have some videos with this as well that you can kind of watch. They're pretty interesting. And he was also studying the effects of groups on individuals. And very simply, I think you can see this. If I asked you individually which line is longer, A, B, or C, it wouldn't take you a second to tell me line A is the longest. And it is the longest, by far. Now, here's how the experiment went. Ash set it up in a way where, again, everybody's kind of in on the gag except for you. Now, he's going to show this card to a room of like 10 people. And he's going to train the first 9 people to respond that B is the longest line, even though it's not. He's going to have everybody say B. So everybody's like B, 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 B. And now it gets to you. And you're looking at this and you obviously know that A is longer. What are you going to say? Are you going to respond that line A is longer and go against the group, or are you going to conform and go along with the group because you don't want to feel stupid or because you feel like you're missing something somehow? Well, most of the time, Ash found that people would answer in accord with the group. They would respond B. And I have a series of videos on this, one specifically that I'll show you. It's really interesting, showing how people just kind of go along with the group, even in some pretty dangerous situations, as we'll find. Conformity is a very powerful tool. And that is it for that video, for this video installment. Make sure you have good notes on this stuff, because the exam will cover stuff that we've done in these lectures so far. Okay, thank you very much.